that the demographics, it leads to a dysfunction. So many children, so hard to manage. Religion becomes an outlet. I'm trying to look at what's the underlying dynamic for this dysfunction. How do we move to a more peaceful planet? Is it prosperity? Is it, what's the underpinnings?
If there were only one dynamic, we'd be in a much better situation. Part of the reality that I didn't touch on at all today is that these are failed states, right? Colonial borders drawn arbitrarily on maps between, Nigeria and its neighbors never functioned as states anyway. So what I've seen is that the world is really breaking down on tribal lines, and the greatest of those tribes is religion, because it gives a local significance and a global significance. So, all of these factors come to bear. Your state fails, your government's out to get you. A lot of people, in Nigeria, you can't even get electricity, let alone schooling from your government. Well, who can get you electricity? Well, the local imam can get you guys in a block where you're gonna get electricity on your street, and you're safe from the fact that Christians keep ripping out the copper wiring, right? So what could be that this identity comes to bear in every local reality, and then the larger global one, which is we are familiar with the idea that, like the idea in Nigeria for many Muslims, right? Nigeria, Africa's most populous country. 1 in 7 Africans lives in Nigeria. 140 million people, 40 million Christian, 40 million Muslim. We don't really know how many. Why? Because the census can't ask questions about religion. It's too violent, right? So within the Muslim community, there's very much the feeling of the West had its chance. The Christian West had its chance. It sowed the seeds of this democracy, which totally failed us. It's a corrupt sham out to take our oil from us. What can answer our questions? Islam can. Sharia can. Islamic law can answer our questions. So that's poverty, population growth, environmental. We didn't even get to, the book has a lot about the fact that this is one of the most environmentally sensitive bands in the world, because this is where this dry, wet meets. The storms that are generated in this zone spin westward. They spin off the west coast of Africa at Cape Verde. They cross the Atlantic Ocean, and if they're really, really strong, they strike our east coast as hurricanes. So that is just, there isn't a single factor. I would say, that education, it really, 23 million Muslim kids in Nigeria alone have absolutely no schooling. And if they're schooling at all, they work as beggars for this local teacher who's called an al-Majri teacher. It's kind of like a madrasa. So education, education, education. That's where I would begin. And also the other thing that I've seen is successful is when you bring a third element into a conversation. There's a pastor and imam in northern Nigeria. Pastor's got one arm because the imam's boys lopped his arm off in fighting about 15 years ago. The men now work together. They are self-avowed fundamentalists. Each believes the other's going to hell, no questions asked. They are peacefully holding together a town called Kaduna, which means crocodile. One of the ways they do this, they supply green stoves to a local group of women, Muslim and Christian alike. When you bring in a secular element and it's about mutual survival, I've seen communities start to rebuild each other very quickly.